Any elite performer I've studied, whether it's Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Michael Phelps, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, they are in their own world. They're not comparing themselves to anyone else. They're just bettering their best. So I think having an ability to not fear anything and just being fully authentic and fully yourself, you have to have that to be a game changer. Because if you fear people, you're never going to be fully yourself or authentic. It's impossible.
What's good, guys? Another episode of Leaders Create Leaders, and this one is a special one because it's with my boy, the one and only Millennial Gamechanger himself, Peter Voogd. If you are not following Peter, trust me, you need to get on that. There's not too many actual millennials out there that actually talk the talk and walk the walk, and Peter literally kills the game. He's a person who's constantly bringing value to millennials, and we're about to go to Dubai together, hit the stage, and check this shit out.
So we're heading to Dubai. You won't believe what I found yesterday. Check this out. So one of my goals, I made this in 2014. 10K speaker, corporate direct sales, 1 speech a month, and I wanted to travel internationally. And now we're leaving for Dubai. I got booked to speak. Pretty amazing. So I wrote this three and a half years ago, and it's coming true. Pretty exciting. Welcome to my life. It's finally here. You know, somebody I used to respect once told me, perception's more important than reality. And for the longest time, I was worried more about how others perceive me than who I really was. Living in fear instead of confidence. And it slowly got me away from really knowing myself, and I hated it. At some point, you just get so fed up with pleasing others, doing what others expect of you and fitting in, that you have to break out. I'm very passionate about not judging people because I've been judged my whole life, and I know how it feels. I've been placed in a box, I've been labeled, and people have tried to make me who they wanted me to be, who they thought I should be, instead of taking the time to get to know me. And when you judge another person, you aren't defining them, you're defining yourself. Never be ashamed of who you are, never lose hope, and never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about, because doubt is killing more dreams than failure ever will. You owe it to yourself and to the people that care about you not to give up. You know, I almost gave in. I almost quit. I was close to settling and just living a mediocre life. But I snapped out of it. And I thought to myself, why would I let someone else who's already given up on their dreams talk me out of mine? So fail forward and never give up.
You know, because he wasn't the smartest kid growing up. You know, he really felt school wasn't for him, that he was trying to fit him into a box. And a lot of his teachers said that he wouldn't become successful. I've been through that. But you know what? He never let that stop him.
A lot of people in school, teacher-wise, want to put you in an exact box, and I always felt caged, and I wanted to break out and do something, but that was out of the ordinary. So anytime I tried to do something different, I was reprimanded, and I hated that. So when I was 15, my dad had a construction company. A lot of my friends worked for my dad. One of the biggest turning points for me that really introduced me to entrepreneurship was I got into eBay. And it was like an outlet for me to not only make money, but learn about the internet and stuff like that. And I didn't like hard labor. I saw my dad, how he had a bad back. I saw a lot of people that have done hard labor their whole life. They're sore, and it's hard to scale, obviously, if you're trading time for money. I didn't realize that at the time, but the breakthrough for me was my friend was working, shoveling sand all day for my dad. And I'm sitting there like, I can't stand this. If you talk to anyone that knew me growing up, they know I could not stand hard labor. One guy paid me to mow his lawn, and I mowed it once, halfway done, came back, I was hiding. I'm like, I'm not mowing your lawn, sorry. And I don't know what it is, because a lot of kids enjoyed the hard labor. I just wanted to make money with my mind and my value versus just hard labor. So my friend worked 8 hours.
I think he made $63 or $64 for the day. Sweating, tired, and he went home like super sore, and he's like 15.
Yeah.
And me, I checked my eBay account, I sold one pair of shoes and the profit was $93. So I'm sitting there thinking, my mind's kind of confused, like, how in the world did I just make $93 and he made 60 and he worked his ass off all day long?
Right.
So I'm like, I'm onto something here. And I want people to realize I got paid for the courage to think differently and to take risks, right? Most people didn't want to take risks in the internet and on eBay back then. So that opened my mind to what's possible. If I can make money from eBay and I can make it on my terms, I didn't have to take the hard labor route or the route that most people around me were taking, which is 9 to 5. It was almost guaranteed that you go 9 to 5. So I got into entrepreneurship, I got into eBay, I was selling things, I was buying things, selling for more, I had people selling them with me. And when I was 17, I kept doing it, but every single person around me, Gerard, I don't know if you've experienced this, was telling me, you gotta get a 9 to 5, you gotta just try it out, you gotta get the normal route, you gotta go try out a normal job, and I'm like, why? And finally, with so much peer pressure, it's easy as a young person to be pressured, which we'll talk about. I got a normal job, which was the worst 2 months of my life. I was paid an hourly wage, and I remember I was doing valeting cars at a casino. And I remember sitting in the valet booth, adding up my paycheck. It was like $705 an hour. So I would add up $705 times 30 hours a week, times the 3 months I was gonna work in the summer. And I looked at the amount, and I'm like, no matter what I do, I'm gonna make the exact same amount of money. I would show up early, I would leave late. I got a letter written about me from a customer because I worked hard. Someone was there a little bit longer than me that was older. He got paid more than me and he cut every corner you could possibly cut. So I'm sitting there like, he's cutting corners and he's getting paid just because seniority. That's not fair. So I stopped doing that and I got into sales. And from there, when I saw sales as an outlet for my energy and entrepreneurship, it was over from there.
Wow, I actually can relate to that because growing up, and I kind of want to talk about the difference in generations, right? Really get into, why people look at millennials the way that they do, because I really do think that we're the most, opportunist and entrepreneurial generation of all time. But like growing up, I got caught up in that game too. My mom worked like 7 days a week at a supermarket, A&P, and I ended up just wanting to work to be able to make some money, you know what I mean? So I ended up working at a supermarket. I did cashier, produce, stock shelves, everything. And I went through that same thing like, no way. And then I saw my mom, right? 7 days a week, breaking her back, like to help provide. I was like, no way am I gonna be ever stuck and confined into this, what this 9 to 5, and like really putting a ceiling on my potential.
Yep.
And then I decided to really foster my ambition as well. So I kind of relate to you. But so sales really was the next thing that really you found and triggered you to really start taking.
It was the first time ever that I was paid based off my ambition and my work ethic. So I got excited about leadership and about really figuring out how to build a team. So I was in sales, built a team, did an amazing job, but I was with a company, so there was still a cap. So I was doing well. I built myself up to a great 6-figure income, and we can talk about me going dead broke as well. But then there was a cap on my income because no matter how hard I worked, how big my team was, I still only had a territory. So that's where my mission was growing. That's when I started building things internationally that were outside myself, and I started a movement that I think attracted a lot of young millennials and game changers, which is now the Game Changers Academy. So the journey was just figuring myself out and getting clear on exactly what I wanted and really getting away from people that didn't believe in my goals. I think there's too many people that put their insecurities on others because they haven't accomplished their goals. The challenging thing that you need to teach millennials that I do is never let someone who already has given up on their dreams talk you out of yours. I had a lot of people growing up that I wanted to go for big dreams, but they're like, oh, you can't do that. You got to play it safe just because they played it safe.
Right.
And one of the biggest breakthroughs for me, looking back when I was wanting to quit entrepreneurship, anyone that goes through the normal struggles of entrepreneurship is going to want to quit. And almost every night when I was an entrepreneur struggling, I would think in my head, is this really for me? The 9 to 5 is so much easier. It's so much more comfortable. Should I really be doing this entrepreneur thing? I have no money. I'm going broke. I'm feeling like I let my family down. Is this really for me? And then I remember a time when I was 17 or 18, my parents had a wedding anniversary. And long story short, my mom wanted one of her best friends growing up there. She wrote everyone personal letters. Everyone was there except one person. And I saw my mom devastated. And I said, why isn't blank coming? And she goes, oh, well, it's okay. She has to work and she can't afford it. Now I'm 17. I'm thinking, wait, she's like 45 or 50 years old. How can she not afford it? How can she let someone else tell her when she can leave when she's 50? I'm like, that's not fair. I remember thinking, I'm never gonna be 45 or 50 years old, A, with regret, B, with someone else telling me what I'm worth. So every time I went through a struggle in entrepreneurship, that thought went back to my mind. I can't quit this because I don't wanna be someone who can't be there for their family or for friends whenever I want to. So I sacrificed a lot of my younger years hustling because I knew the bigger picture would come later where I had freedom. Does that make sense? So I challenge people to think about past times that really motivate and inspire them and really get their blood flowing, because that's the stuff that you remember to push you past the tough times.
Peter actually went broke, which I can relate to because a lot of entrepreneurs hit that rock bottom moment. But he made a promise to himself that would never happen again. And he went on a run to make 6 figures in just 6 months. So we're gonna go over his steps on how he did that, right?
It's one thing succeeding on your own, which I feel like with the right tools, with the right mentorship, it's not that difficult these days with all the technology to succeed on your own. It's another thing to build a team to help others succeed. Right? And get paid off other people's results. That's harder. So I thought I was all high and mighty. It's funny, we're very similar. Our egos both got in the way when we were 21, 22.
Oh, yeah,
my ego got in the way. I'm like, oh, no one can stop me.
Yeah.
I could do this on my own. I could build a team.
Exactly.
So I went out, not with much guidance, only with ambition and energy. That's not enough in entrepreneurship. You can't just have ambition. You have to have the right guidance, the right information, the right knowledge. So all my savings went down the drain, and I went dead broke within a couple months. All my savings, and I was treading my wheels, and I was working 40, 50 hours a week. And when you work really hard and you don't make money, society tells you to work harder. It's never work right or work smarter. It's always just work harder. I'd work 60 hours, nothing changed. I'd work 80, nothing changed. So I realized it's not about the hours you work, but what you put in the hours. So after working 80 hours a week for a couple weeks and making no progress, no results, I'm dead broke. I realized something by looking at my old notes from a seminar, and it said, if you want to be a millionaire, talk to billionaires, you'll get there quicker. And I'm like, wow, I need to shift my circle of influence and talk to people who are playing the game at a higher level than me. So that's where I made the definite decision to not be average and not live like this anymore. So the first step is I made a decision when I was broke that I did not want to live like that, and I wanted to be successful because I didn't want the alternative to happen. So the book came way after, Gerard. So what I have steps for the 6 months, 6 figures. I did not know it was a framework or it worked till I thought about it later.
Yeah.
So the book came 6 months from being broke. I made 6 figures because I was connecting with people that were already making 500 or 600 grand, and I ignored people that weren't getting the results I wanted. So with 6 months to 6 figures, I wanted to see if I could duplicate it in a different industry. And fast forward, I was able to duplicate making 6 figures in 6 months in multiple, almost 7 different industries.
Oh, wow.
And then I was able to teach people that as well. So we can walk through the framework kind of quickly.
Yeah.
So the first step, I think, in entrepreneurship, in business, in life, in success, as being a leader, is you have to get absolutely crystal clear on who you are, who you're not, and who you want to become. Because I think we talked about this today and yesterday, most people really don't know themselves because they take too many opinions. The more opinions you take, the more you fear people and the less you know who you really are. I think the ultimate strength in life is knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses and who you are.
So guys, really think about this, everyone watching, because this is really, I'm really passionate about this, right? Self-awareness, truly knowing your strengths. I think we live, right? Talk about this millennial generation, talking about followers. The fact that we have so much noise out there, so many people
more than ever.
More than ever. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's out there motivating. Everyone's telling you what to do, how to do it, why to do it. And you can get caught up over analysis paralysis, reading all day long, watching all day long, scrolling all day long, and then you lose out not just, learning your intuition, learning who you are and what you stand for, but also like the execution part, right? And that's something that you constantly talk about. So I love step one, definitely learning how to really truly know yourself, right? Because that's what it is. You gotta find that leader within and then bet on yourself and put it into action.
I was taking so many opinions, Gerard, and someone told me, you gotta invest in yourself, personal growth, which everyone says. That's easy to do. So what I did is I would buy every book, every audio, listen to everything, and then I was overwhelmed. So I realized the most powerful thing I could ever do that changed my life was focus on mastery versus overload.
Love it.
So I'm gonna teach people, because I wanna bring some tactical value here on how I really got clear on who I was. So I made a one-page plan that I could look at because I wanted my vision to guide me, because what was guiding me was my circumstances, these opinions. So I'll tell you right now, if you really wanna be a leader as a millennial, take very, very, very few opinions. Be very selective with who you take advice from, and only take advice from people who have the results you want, but also who you'd trade places with. Millennials take advice from anybody that looks successful. You know what? I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've done some research. I know a lot of people that look amazing online or on paper, but they're horrible husbands. They're not world-class people. Maybe they make money, but they treat people badly off the camera. So I just want to follow people that are world-class in every area, not just entrepreneurship.
Interesting. And like, you know, I think that where that stems from is your core values, right? Like some people, you were talking about this in founders, right? Money, you know, like you're saying, you can find people that are like 60 years old, that have all the money in the world, but
no relationships.
No relationships, completely depressed, not happy. And that stems from like really understanding yourself and understanding what you stand for. What are those true core values? Because that is how you will live your life and how you will also be able to implement that into your business. And in order for you to be a good leader and not only just lead yourself, but lead that team, which Peter was just talking about, you need to have those core values in, you know, completely in check and in line. And then that's how
like you said, core values. So here's what's on the one page. Everyone, I encourage you to do this, and as we both know, half of them won't do it. But you game changers that have that deep hunger inside you, that you know you're capable of big things, this will help you. Because for me, I felt like, Gerard, have you ever felt like your intelligence and your ambition wasn't matching your bank account or results? Like I felt like I had the intelligence, I had the ambition, but I wasn't getting results. This is my first step. So I wrote down, what's my ideal outcome? I never really thought about, people ask me, well, what do you want? I'm like, shoot, I don't know. What I've realized is a genius without a roadmap will get lost in any country, but an average person with a roadmap will find their way to any destination.
Love it.
And I felt like I felt super average. And it's weird hearing me now because people know me from being confident, right? But I felt very average like everybody else, and that just was eating me up inside. So I put my ideal outcome. So if you ask a lot of entrepreneurs, hey, what's your ideal outcome in the next 6 months? 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10 have no clue. They're very vague, like, oh, I want to make this much. No, you got to get clear on exactly where you want to be. How many people on your team do you want to have? How much money are you making monthly? What's your marketing look like? How involved are you in the business? So I got very clear on my ideal vision.
I love this also, like really focusing on the outcome, not just the actions, because a lot of entrepreneurs think just by being busy, right? Staying busy. I'm so busy, right? I got so many projects. I got so much, I'm doing so much. That doesn't mean that you're getting those results.
They mistake busyness for achievement.
Right.
Achievement is achievement.
Exactly.
Results are achievement. So then I figured out my values. I realized money's important, but I actually realized that I got way more joy building a legacy and impacting people than I did money-wise. And now I've turned down $15,000 speeches and took free speeches.
Right.
I've done it many times because I believe more in the cause, right? So my values, I figured out family, flexibility, autonomy, impact, and then income. So I made my values, and then underneath that, I wrote the top 5 things I want to accomplish the next 6 months. I remember doing this in my one-bedroom apartment with literally no furniture, a box spring. It was horrible as far as like my living situation. I get chills thinking about being in that apartment, which is crazy. So I wrote down the top 5 goals. I wanted to get out of debt. I wanted to make sure I made 6 figures. I wanted to do this, this, and this. And then right below that, this was a game changer. I wrote down my top 5 reasons. I wrote down why I wanted to do this, because I don't think I had strong enough reasons when I first got into sales. I was just kind of going along with my ambition, having fun, making money, but I didn't really think about why I was doing this. I didn't think longer term. I was always instant pleasure short term. Now I was thinking more long term. So I wrote down my reasons. And if you don't have reasons strong enough that wake you up in the morning at 5:30, I think you need to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. Like, period. So I wrote down my reasons, then I wrote down what skills, what things I needed to maximize and master that were congruent to my end result. And then below that, I made sure that I had the reasons and the fuel to give me the motivation to take action. And then I wrote down the skills that I really, really needed. And below I put a date on the 6 months and signed my name. I said, I'm never gonna live like this. I couldn't even go to the drive-through of Wendy's with money-wise. People think, yeah, you broke, but maybe you had money in your account or a savings. I had zero. And my mom wouldn't help me, which I thank her every day now when I see her. I'm like, Mom, you remember that? I'm so glad you did not give me any money. Because she probably could have. She's like, I'm gonna let you figure it out. And me being broke gave me so much hunger that I'll never feel that way ever again. I see a lot of people, off topic, but I see a lot of millennials that have had such a perfect storybook, easy past, and they wonder why they have no hunger. Good luck finding hunger in someone with a perfect past. I think you get the hunger from the tough times.
100%.
So, and with you, you've went through failures, you've lost money, you've done this, you've let people down, and that's where your hunger comes from now, is all the tough times, not the easy times, right? So me, I realized that I had a confidence account. Everyone has what's called a confidence account inside them, where every choice they make either helps or hurts their confidence. And what's scary is if you're making the easy choices all the time, every time you make an easy choice, your confidence goes down. So I realized that I needed to build my confidence if I wanted the unstoppable mindset. So I started making tough decisions. I started choosing growth in the moment. Should I wake up early or should I hit the alarm? Should I eat the cheeseburger and fries or should I eat the salad? Should I stay in Friday night and study my goals and make some phone calls and study greatness, or should I go out and drink a beer? Then I realized what everybody else was doing is the exact opposite of what I should do.
So then we're gonna get into what it means to be a millennial game changer. And I love this because, you know, Peter's quote in his episode, I resonated with. He says, you'll never meet a successful hater. And I know that's the truth. At the end of the day, haters are a good thing. It means you're doing something right. And if you don't got haters, you know what? You're definitely doing something wrong.
The number one reason people don't thrive and succeed at the highest level is because they never tell themselves now matters. They're always living on someday I'll. They're always waiting for the perfect time. If you want to be a game changer, you have to tell yourself right now matters, period. Most people spend the first half of their life saying they're too young. And then they spend the second half saying they're too old. And the number one thing you want to focus on is never, ever in your life experiencing regret. So go all in, figure out exactly what you want, and then figure out what you're willing to give up to get what you want. And if you really know yourself and you drop the need to be liked, you will create the most extraordinary life, and you can give back to others that do the same thing as you. The boy GA, sitting on top of the world. What are you thinking, man?
Man, it's like making me feel like anything's possible being up here, man. The sky's the limit. All right, guys, so thank you for watching another episode of Leaders Create Leaders. Please make sure to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment below, let us know what you love about this episode. There's so much value in this episode. I appreciate those who've watched it to the end. It means the world to our team. If you have any suggestions, people you want to have on the show, places you want us to visit, just let us know, comment, and thanks guys for being part of the community. It's your boy GA. We gotta go back to Dubai. Peace.
Hey G, I don't know about you, man, but I'm sick of all these videos and articles talking about what's wrong with millennials, talking down to us about how we're lazy, how we're entitled. A lot of millennials I know aren't just making 6 or 7 figures, they're making a massive impact and creating things that make the world a better place. So while everybody else talks about what's wrong with us, I want to talk about what's right with this generation. What's on your mind, G?
This is our time. I feel we're the leaders of the future. I never understood why people feared new ideas. I fear old ones. There's never been a better time than right now to step up as an entrepreneur.
It's the new era. Millennial millionaires on the rise. If you're a millennial, we got you. I promise.
You gotta know yourself when you get on your grind. All them haters, man, we left them all behind. We self-made, we was destined for the shine. No distraction when there's millions on your mind. You gotta know yourself when you get on your grind. All them haters, man, we left them all behind. We self-made, we was destined for the shine. No distraction when there's millions on your mind.